Shepherds of Men is a secular movement started by three men of faith. We wholeheartedly believe that when we get the men right, we get the world right. We believe this because we believe that men are created and called to be leaders, and we believe there is an alarming deficit of leadership in our world today.
And although the three of us have come from drastically different backgrounds, our core principles have given us a unified voice that is needed now more than ever to pave the way for a fundamental change in our culture.
We are quite literally calling men to something great.
Welcome to the movement. What's up, guys? Welcome to the movement. JP coming at you. Going to be bringing you this podcast today. I apologize. We got the giggles from the pre conversation.
What are we apologizing for?
I'm trying to get this out without giggling. That's where the apology is coming from. I'm talking about the old Olin Mills pictures and stuff. And if you were ever a child, which
Yes.
If you're listening to this, you probably were at some point in your life.
At some point, yeah.
You probably took some of those.
Well done. Good job getting through that.
Yeah, right.
Childhood stuff.
But as always, I'm sitting here with the Shepherds, Wilson
How's it going?
and Mr. Cam.
What's happening?
And the wizard, Mr. O, in the studio over here, chopping it up for us. Man, guys, I want to talk a little bit about if you were with us in the last episode, you already know that was power packed. Man, Cody Jefferson brought it. We really appreciated him being on, no doubt, and you probably appreciate it too if you listen to the episode. If you haven't, go back and listen to it. And just store that one in your library because that's one you'll be able to listen to over and over. Tons of nuggets from that guy. He obviously knows what he's talking about. Got an unbelievable mindset, and aligns perfectly with what we believe a man should be. And if you haven't heard that episode yet, I mean, just no doubt, go back and check it out. It's a no-brainer. But he said something that I want to talk about a little bit, just to expand on, because I would imagine there's some people that heard this in that podcast episode that really started to go, man, that'll make you think. And he said, you can be completely honest with yourself and still not be telling the fucking truth. That's a mouthful. And I think everybody interprets that based off of where they're at. Right. So there's many ways that you can look at that phrase and take it. But the way that I took that is you don't know what you don't know. And I think, the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Right. That whole phrase, like if you're not out experiencing life and you're living a sanitary life, or you don't go out and include yourself in what's going on, you really have a deficit in your learning curve. You're doing yourself a disservice, and then you end up being that individual that doesn't know what they don't know. If you go look at somebody that has a ton of experiences in their life, they're interesting people. And the reason that they're interesting is because they've started to figure out what the truth in life is. And I'm not trying to get all philosophical on you and stuff like that, but the truth of the matter is you figure out what life is about and what the purpose of life is. And I'm not saying that in any kind of necessarily deep level, but you start to really understand the truth whenever you start to experience life rather than, hide from it, experience it behind a screen or whatever it is. It's just not the same. Don't get me wrong. Technology's come a long ways. You can do virtual meetings and things of that nature and everything, but there's just something different about getting out and experiencing life and not living a sanitary life. But when I heard him say that was one of the first things that came to mind was you don't intentionally lie to yourself. You tell yourself what you believe is true. Based off of your experiences.
Right.
And if you have limited experiences, you have limited knowledge of what the truth is. So just to kick it off, like when he said that, what went through your mind?
Well, that glass ceiling that you put on yourself that you don't realize. There's more to life than what you think that there is, and it's a perspective change. It's like you could be telling yourself what you're capable of doing, but you're setting yourself at a level that you're actually capable of doing more. Does that make sense? That's kind of what I got out of it. It's like when he said that, I was like, I could see it going those two ways. And then also what you don't know, you just don't know.
So you're saying like when he said that, it made you feel like, I tell myself this is the best I can do, or this is kind of where I'm at. This is who I am, or whatever it is.
But is it really?
But is it? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for some reason, like the immediate response in my mind was, you're full of shit. Like meaning like you're telling the truth, but you can still be a fucking liar, or however he said it, is more like you have created some reality in your own mind that you believe is the truth about you. Similar to what you're saying, but more so like you may be hyping yourself too much, or you may be, you may be all kinds of different directions that have absolutely nothing to do with you until somebody confronts you or holds you accountable to it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where my head went, was more like you don't have any brothers that are iron sharpening iron. And so you have created this fantasy world in your head that is your reality, but it's not actually true.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a great point. I appreciate you taking it that way, because that's exactly what I wanted to go to next, about how you change that and determine the truth, and that has to do with experiences, association, and part of experience is what I mean is getting out with people. Go finding people that stretch you, people that are, mentally, like a mental vitamin for you, for a lack of better words. And sometimes vitamins taste like shit before they can help you, right? If you've ever taken real vitamins, not so great. I wouldn't.
Anytime you concentrate kale,
yeah.
I mean, like that's not gonna be. It's not gonna go well.
Suggest chewing on
Those
it.
are not the chewable kind.
Yeah, but what I want to give you is a mental picture of the fact that sometimes the association that you need to be around might not taste good at first, because they might challenge that truth, in quotations, truth that you believe and are telling yourself, which is truly a lie. And to Cam's point, those people are so critical in your life, because they can look at you and go, bro, like, this isn't it for you. That's not your limitation, as Wilson was talking about. Like, dude, you've got more in the tank, man. I've seen it. Like, you keep telling yourself that you're shy. I've seen you have conversations with people that you know, and you're about as open and outgoing as can be. That's no different with somebody you don't know. You just haven't learned the skill set of striking up the conversation. You're more comfortable with people that you know, but that doesn't mean you're shy. You just keep telling yourself that, which is bullshit. And it might not be comfortable, to be around people like that. But I think that...
Well, and just real quick, and you may be going this way, but I think the other side of it is too, where that person that has inflated themselves to a level to where they think they're hot shit, and maybe they need that friend that actually loves them enough to go, hey, bro, you're not really as productive as you think you are. You're just busy.
Right.
Or you're not really you're not killing it like you think you are. You've just been telling yourself you have, but everybody else knows it's not, it's all bogus.
Right.
And thank God for friends like that.
Yeah.
I've had people call me out. I've had mentors call me out about things that did not feel good when they said it. And then, give it 24 hours after you want to smack them in the mouth. And then you go, I'm just glad they love me enough to say something.
Right.
Yep. It's that big fish in a small pond kind of thing. And that's a real thing. I've met some, the Napoleon syndrome. Some of the guys that are, 5 foot. Why'd you look at Cam? When I said Napoleon syndrome?
I may have had a small case of it, but I'm vaccinated now.
You're vaccinated now.
I'm just kidding. I'm not stupid.
Dude, I saw somebody that had a profile picture. Everybody got the things on the side that said I got vaccinated. And one that's like, I don't care if you got vaccinated along the side of it.
Listen, for anybody getting their butt hurt right now, that is one of those things. It's like, it's your call. If you feel good about it, do it. If you don't, do it. Like, it's whatever, man.
100% your choice.
Did you hear about the 15-year-old that died from a heart attack because he got the vaccine the very next day?
I've heard about a lot of things on both sides, and it's one of those where I'm just like, I'm kind of indifferent on what anybody else wants to do on that. I'm just that
the risk versus the reward is not there.
Well, who knows?
Well, I don't trust any of the medical advice that's coming from the mainstream media at this point in time.
Like, here's what's funny though: is there's a TikTok that came out recently where it's like the year 2025 or something like that, and there's these people that are like, this guy walks up as a new neighbor. And he's like, hey, man, how's it going? And he brushes his hair to the side, and he's got a third eyeball. And he's like, oh, Moderna. And he was like, yeah. And then the dude turns around, he's got a tail, and he's like, whatever the other one is, Pfizer. He's like, I'm Pfizer. So there's like these groups of people, and then they both go, here comes J&J. And it's like this. It's hilarious.
Oh, that's great.
It could be true. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Well, once again, it's one of those things where it's your own decision there. Yeah. As far as that stuff.
Do you want a tail or an eye?
Hey, but this is kind of correlates to what you were talking about, living that sanitary life. Which I'd love you to unpack that a little bit more for the people who are listening.
Yep.
But I mean, that goes to show right there. I mean, is that the best decision? It's up to you to make that decision. But, if you trust the science and you look at, the track record of other things that came out in a rush, man, you can probably be putting yourself in a world of hurt here soon.
Yeah. And that's one of the, obviously a natural progression there was a association like Cam was talking about. And that could be sometimes you need to, you need to level set your expectations, and that could be up or down. But sometimes it takes an outsider's perspective to say, hey, dude, like you're not King Dingling. You're not, the man and stuff like that. You went to a high school that graduated 10 people in your senior class, and you started on the basketball team because they needed 5 people.
Right.
Did you go to my school? Why do we keep talking about me in this episode? I don't understand.
Right? Cameron used to ride in on a horse at his school before the games.
My nickname was Napoleon, and now it's starting to come together. I never really understood why.
It reminds me of that Birch Kreischer, and he's like, I was a stallion. That's what it reminded me of.
Peacock, you gotta let me fly.
Let me fly. Well, hell, it felt good, guys.
Yeah,
I didn't know any better.
But I do think that sometimes that's why people lie to themselves, and I think sometimes speaking well of yourself, maybe slightly more than what you actually are at that point in time is probably more beneficial than speaking bad of yourself at any time. But being realistic about your work ethic and what your actions are to what you're saying is important. Hey, you say that you're the leading authority in this, or that you're probably growing more than anybody else, but what you do doesn't show that, dude. Like, stop talking, because it makes you look like a fool. So you need that kind of thing. And then in the flip side too, like, stop putting limitations on yourself, man. Your potential is kind of endless. Mm-hmm. But the other side of it is, and we were talking about living a sanitary life, and you can look at this in a lot of different ways. And this is something that hit me. I was talking to a friend of mine that's what he does. He goes home every day. I say he's an acquaintance of mine, but was asking me about some, like, what are some things that I can do to get, because I feel like I'm just stagnant in life. And I was like, well, what do you do now? Mm-hmm. I go to work, and then I go home, we do dinner, maybe watch a movie or something like that. And it's just kind of the same thing, all the time. And for work, he works behind a computer. He's a professional engineer. But he's,
Is that different than the kind you are?
Well, no, I was
you did the air quotes.
Well, so when I say a professional, like a professional career, I guess is what I meant. Yeah, and then he's specifically an engineer. But I was the conversation got up about living in a sanitary environment, and I think a lot of that kind of comes to head with this whole COVID thing, right? Like, people went fucking insane whenever they told people they had to stay in their houses. Which that's 100% expectable that people would go insane. Mm-hmm. And I think technology aids in that sometimes, because we don't have to go places, right? Like, I don't have to do a face-to-face conversation with that guy. I can do a Zoom meeting with him, or I can do whatever. And sometimes it's necessary. But live in that's what I mean by sanitary environment. Like, you live in a bubble. And that's what I was telling this guy. I said, dude, you work from home on your computer. And when you say you get done working, like, you literally just sit at your computer, you get done working, you guys have some dinner, and then you go sit on your couch and watch TV. I said, and I'm not judging your lifestyle, dude. Like, that's your choice. But if you feel like you're stuck in the mud, maybe it's because you live in a bubble. Maybe you should unzip the bubble every once in a while.
Or open the front door and walk out on the porch.
Yeah, and go out. And that's why I gave him some suggestions. Like, dude, why don't you, like, find some areas around your town that has some running trails or something like that you've never been to. And go explore, go do something, get out, take your kids and go do something as far as that's concerned. Get into a strenuous environment. One of the things I loved what Cody said is he said, pain is necessary. Suffering is voluntary. Mm-hmm. You decide to suffer. Sometimes suffering is just stupid. Mm-hmm. But temporary pain is critical to growth and stuff. Yeah. And I was telling him, I said, if you want to feel like you're growing, you've got to get out and experience life in areas that are not the same old shit every single day. Yeah. So that's what I meant by, like, sanitary environment is killing a lot of men and killing their drive.
You got to feel, like when that whole, I'm in a bubble, I'm stagnant, it's like, it's just a dying, sedentary, there's no feeling, there's no sensation, there's nothing that's arousing you, and not in an inappropriate way. There's just nothing like that. But when you go do those things, then you feel pain, or you feel joy, or you feel hot or cold, depending on the temperature outside, like you feel alive.
Yeah.
Right. And so you actually realize that, like, oh, there's like, I am something,
Yeah.
you know, like that I am a human being.
Yep.
I'm not just a lump. I mean, I would much rather hurt and feel like I'm alive than sit around and just like, I don't feel anything.
Right.
Like I'm numb. No.
Right.
Nobody likes to be numb, man.
Well, some.
Yeah, some
I don't
do.
know if they like to, but they create, you know, that
They
lifestyle.
certainly
for sure.
do.
Yeah.
I love it that it's summertime, man. We go kayaking, hiking, all that kind of stuff, and I'm looking forward to continue to doing more of that. That's my fun. Wintertime is just kind of like you got to be a little creative.
Whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey. Hey, that's helped.
Those are babies.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
that
can always
too.
just have babies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that always keeps your life
keeps you
entertaining. On the edge.
Yeah, and part of that, you know, it is in a literal sense of sanitary environment. Like I believe that you're doing yourself a disservice by not being out and not experiencing the different stuff, the different bugs and stuff. That like I love how since COVID has showed up, now all of a sudden it is absolutely critical that you don't catch anything. Like we have to zip
I didn't
ourselves
think there
up.
was anything else.
Not anymore. But it's really kind of put this fear of stuff that you've been exposed to every single day of your life all the way up until that point, and now everybody's absolutely terrified of everything now.
Yeah.
Somebody sneezes and people lose their fucking mind.
Yeah.
You know, the fact of the matter is, and this is, you can talk to any doctor, that stuff's important. That's how your body grows. That's how your body builds. You know, like that's just like people talking about, hey, our problem is we don't need enough dirt, you know, anymore and stuff. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is it's true.
There's some truth to it.
Same thing goes with water, right? Yeah. So with drinking water, it's very important that you have drinking water, because if you have nothing but purified water, it will actually wash the minerals that are critical to your bodily functions out of your body. So that's a good example of water is one of the purest forms of something that humans need. They have to have it. If you purify it all the way to where there's nothing in it, then it washes out all the stuff that you have to have in your body. And now all of a sudden you can't function properly. You start to have all kinds of crazy issues. You have to have the minerals that are in it and everything. And it goes that way with life too. I mean, your body becomes stronger by being exposed to risky situations or other diseases and stuff. And being in a sanitary environment, I mean, kills you slowly but surely. And then you don't know how to react. You know, like once you do hit something, you're like, oh dude,
shit. Well, you get so soft. I mean, you think about just the other side of it from a physical standpoint of, say, working out or whatever. You're just like, or even mentally, really. I mean, if you are just completely sterile, sanitized environment, mentally or physically, at some point when you break out of that environment, you are so soft. Yeah. That like whatever you encounter is going to damn near kill you.
Right.
You know, which is, you know, we've talked about this past episodes. This is something that's always a touchy subject for me. Not touchy, but a hot topic, I guess I should say, of just this generation of everybody gets a trophy. You know, I mean, we see where it's gotten us. I mean, it was what we did is what society did is we created this sterile, stagnant environment for kids to never have boo-boos or never have their feelings hurt or never get hit with a dodgeball, you know, like because we thought that was the right thing to do. And we've realized we just created a bunch of mush. Yep. You know, as Josh would say, a bunch of soggy bastards. That's what's happened. Yep. That's what's happened.
A bunch of wet tube socks and vaginas walking.
I mean, they need to lose. People need to lose. People need to learn failure and be okay with it, you know, because in the failure, in that, you know, unsuccessful moment, you dig deep or you find out who you truly are. You may hit a wall, and that sucks for you because you can't get past it. But that's where people like us and other people that you associate with that can pull you past that wall or make you, you know, give you a leg up to get over it, you know. Sometimes you have to have that. But at the same time, it's like you're not even giving yourself a shot because you're you're coasting. Like what that book is right there is saying. It's like... That's
what is that book right there?
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Outwitting the Devil, man. If you haven't read it yet by Napoleon Hill, it's freaking amazing about how the adversary, you know, works in his favor to keep you stagnant and keep you.
Look at that. We got our own promotional stand.
Thank you.
The whole idea of that is he wants you to drift in life. He wants you to not succeed and not think. Thinking for yourself is important. And if you lived in a bubble the whole time, you're not, you know, facing a disease or facing some type of virus that could actually be beneficial to you because your body gets stronger through that adversity. Just like in working out. If you don't work out, your muscles lose that muscle memory or that strength.
Yeah.
And then you have to rebuild. And I mean, and it's painful when you do the workout like you're supposed to. It's always painful. So,
and as we're talking about this, we're assuming that everybody's intelligent enough to know that we're not saying that you just should like mainline some straight COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously there's an intelligence side of it, like we're not like taking a HIV bath later. I mean, we understand that there's, so we're just assuming that.
You know what? My brain went straight to what was it? The movie, the scene in Saw where all the needles are in that.
I don't remember that
My
one.
mind
I don't
went
remember
straight to that. Yeah, he had a whole like big vat of needles, and they had to jump in there to get a key.
There's some twisted shit in those movies.
Or something. There's
mean,
like needles hanging out of them all over the place. It's jacked up, man. So.
Well, I mean, all of us here, and what I mean by that, and you're probably going to get to this point, with living in a bubble, you have fear conquer you. You're basically fear directed. If there's anything that's going to be outside of your comfort zone, or it's going to be like you're fearful of, you just don't do it. You run the other way. We're here at this table. We don't allow the fear of the COVID vaccine or not vaccine, but the COVID virus to affect our lives. Like at the entire time, we didn't wear masks unless we were mandatory, like we had to, which sucked at the same time, and we lived our life like nothing ever happened. I mean, because you look at the math, I mean, yeah, people died, and I hate that, and nobody needs to die on something like that, but you don't voluntarily just go in and say, hey, let's get the COVID, But maybe it might have been better that way, because then everybody would have been healed, and we'd had our own, self-generated vaccine in ourselves, because once you get a virus and you conquer it, you don't easily get it the next time, or your body's ready for it.
Antibodies and
antibodies.
We're not doctors, but we've been alive for a little while.
But we didn't live our life in fear, is what I was trying to get at. We kept going and doing what we needed to do, meetings, all that stuff. And I'm looking forward for it to go back to normal.
Yeah. Once again, that's our choice.
Yeah.
If you choose to do everything that you can to avoid stuff like that, then carry on. It might not work for you. As far as that stuff is concerned, and I'm not here to tell you that you need to be that way. I'm here to tell you what's worked for me in the past. And Wilson, you made a great point about fear, and that is a direction that I was going to head in. As you avoid experiences, everybody has a Goliath in their life, right? Everybody has that Goliath that's like something that you do not want to attack, something that you avoid, whatever it may be. The longer you avoid it, the bigger it gets. That's where you need to understand, and we've talked about the Compound Effect and the Slight Edge as being a great book, and it's something that we will continue to promote because it's something that's critical. That I think a lot of people really misinterpret how difficult it is to do the little things every day, and that's where people underestimate the Slight Edge and stuff. But
no, finish your thought. I'm sorry, I thought you were done with that.
As you continue to live that sedentary life and you live in a bubble, those Goliaths that are around you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you start to rely on the walls of what's actually holding you in away from your experiences more and more and more. And it's harder. It's the same thing with inertia. That's just how that shit works. But go ahead, Cam.
No, that's exactly what you were saying, just as a kind of a picture example for people, or visualization, something maybe a lot of people have experienced is you get on a high diving board or a cliff jump or a rope swing or something like that. For anybody that's been out in those situations, like the first time you do that, and there's some people that just like never even think about it. They just go. But most people, there's some nerves. If you're over 15, 20 feet, there's some nerves, especially you get it higher than that. And it's very easy to go back to like, well, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And then it becomes a bigger and bigger animal. It becomes a bigger challenge. And you see, I think it just even kids, like they start backing up off the diving board a little bit. And then they're trying to talk. And like the longer you stand there, the harder it's going to be to go.
100%.
And the quicker that you'll just go up there and be like, you know what? Fuck it. Jump.
Nope.
It's going to be scary for a second, but then you've grown. You've instantly grown to a different level, and you have removed a barrier. Because the next time you climb back up on the cliff or the diving board, that barrier is not there. That mental barrier does not exist anymore. And I believe that is, not to keep pounding on the COVID stuff, because I honestly just get sick of talking about it.
Right.
But there is certainly a group of people in society today that are more fearful now than they were a year ago, because all they've been doing is leaning up against the back of the diving board for a year. And now their mind is so there's such a big obstacle in their brain to overcome. Like it when it's even I think most, whatever side you're on, would agree it's safer now than it was. So even now that it's safer and people are vaccinated and masks are out there and all this different stuff, they're still like, they're terrified because they have spent a year of convincing themselves it's bad.
Well, that goes back to the original quote, like we were talking about what the Cody said. You could be telling yourself and be completely honest with yourself, and that person is. They're sitting in their house going, "This is a dangerous virus. If I get this virus, it could kill." There's people out there carrying it all over the place and stuff like that. And to them, they're being 100% honest with themselves and stuff, but they are telling themselves a fucking lie about a virus that would probably, as far as the percentages go, would probably affect them very little.
Yep.
I mean, anything from not being able to smell anymore, to being in a hospital bed.
Yep.
And the smaller percentages in the hospital bed. And don't get me wrong, I've heard people that have had those kind of experiences.
Right, for sure.
And I'm not discounting those experiences.
I've heard people get hurt on a diving board before.
But that's that's what I'm getting at, though. And like we talked about before, when you go out and you talk about living your experiences and actually experiencing the truth, because that person. Well, let's just take that person, for example, and they were forced to go out. They said, listen, you're not going to be allowed to live in fear of this COVID thing. You have to go out. You have to go get on an airplane. You're going to fly somewhere. We're going to hike up a mountain. We're going to have an experience there. Then we're going to go to a concert afterwards. And then we're going to fly back, and we're going to go to church on Sunday where all these people are and stuff. That person.
That's where it's the worst.
It's
really
exactly
strong
right.
doses of COVID in churches.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. That person turns around after having those experiences, and now their truth is different.
Yep. Yep.
Now the truth is, well, shit. I'm
good.
I might be okay.
Yeah. I've been running around, been doing all this stuff and everything. Or they get the COVID virus, and then they're over it in a couple days, and they're like, oh hell.
Well, this is why we push our kids off the diving board.
Right.
That's right.
Like we're the parent that goes,
we create
it's okay if you have the fear, boom, you're going anyways.
Yep.
So here's something.
Now, we wouldn't intentionally we wouldn't intentionally, if we really felt like, if I push my kid off this diving board, he's going to die.
Yeah.
We obviously wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
We obviously wouldn't do it. Now, I believe there's times we're like, he could get hurt.
Yeah.
Sure. But he's not going to die. He'll get over it.
Well, I mean, just yesterday, we were down in Chattanooga at the Imagination Station, and Jason and his girls came, and Chesley is one of his oldest, and she wanted to go down this big tube slide. Well, she's like, very precious. She comes up to me and says, would you take me up there and let's go down? I was like, all right, cool. So we go up there, and I'm saying this because you can really see fear manifest in a kid. You can literally see how their reaction to it, what they're about to overcome, and it's really cool to see. If you're a good parent, you're actually paying attention to your kids' adversities and what they're going to be overcoming, and you got to push them through that. And I'm not the father, so I'm up there coaching her through it, just kind of encouraging her. You got this, and you can just see it. You see this opening of the tube, and it's all dark. You can't see past it, and you can't see much further. So you can just imagine herself like this is a monster or whatever is in her mind, imagination-wise, and I'm about to go down this, and I don't know what's on the other end, and I'm too scared to act. Like what you were saying. Yeah. You got this black hole you can't see, but once you get past a certain depth, you start to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and you're like, oh, this is not that bad. So she wouldn't go with me, and I told her dad, and he's just like us. He's like, all right, I'll take her up there. So he took her up there, and literally, like, this is Sparta. He
just threw her down the tube. Did he chest kick her into the tube?
No, not really.
Like Leonidas?
But literally did it rougher than I did. I tried, and she was just like clawing. I mean, she ain't going nowhere. And I'm like, I don't want her to be on my bad side, or her I don't want to be on her bad side because I'm like not her father. And I didn't feel like I had the right place. And he told me that afterwards. He goes, dude, no, kick her down there. And I was like, okay, cool. I got you're okay. But he did, and she's like screaming bloody murder all the way halfway down, and then she slides the rest of the way down, and she's like big smile at the end of the tunnel because she see light, and ran literally up there and dove in.
I'd say, what's the next thing? Always awesome. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again, and just dove. And that's kind of how life is for you. You're looking down a tunnel that you can't see the end of it, and you just got to take that just leap of faith, and then at the end of the tunnel, you're gonna go, damn, that wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. Now I'm over that proverbial block, and you can move forward faster. And you say, if you take that same analogy and that same example in your life, everything you do, and just take a leap of faith. I mean, don't just do something stupid and just say, hey, I'm going to take a $1 million loan, and you don't even know what you're going to get. I mean, you need to have a plan, but in certain things, you just got to leap. You just got to go.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that some more, I think maybe to help understand why there's so much conflict and division with different mindsets right now with some of these things, and I know we're still talking about it, but it's a good example now. So that's where he's. It's a
plus
good.
I'm talking about it, so I'm gonna say.
I know, right? Well, I can't think of a way to necessarily apply it to his story, which was a great visual picture, great analogy. Yeah. But like I'm thinking about kind of some personal examples here of people that have very differing views of the world right now, and to the point to where. So I have family members that will be like, I don't understand why you have this devil may care attitude about the coronavirus. And I don't really know how to explain it to them. You know, I've literally been like, I don't either. I have more faith than you. Maybe I believe differently than you, whatever. I say it's just not something that concerns me. But as I hear you tell that story, I realize the reason it doesn't concern me is because I did jump in the tube. I did keep doing my normal thing, and so there's this repetition of a year's worth of I'm okay, let's go again. I'm okay, let's go again. So you can't, Chesley, the little girl, you could not convince her now that it's going to be bad.
Yeah, right.
She knows differently. She's like, you could tell her it's bad. There's a monster in there. She's like, no, I just went. There's no monster. Yeah. I promise you. Yeah. They're like, no. But if you open that door, there's a monster. No, I've been outside. There's no monster. But if you go to the grocery store, there's a monster. And I've been like every week. There's no monster, dude. I've been on planes. I've been, and listen, and we're being a little whatever. Obviously, there's issues and there's people that have died and been in serious positions, and we get that. We totally understand that. The point is, on the larger scale, to Josh's point for this whole episode, is that you can't live your life fearing the monster all the time. You just can't do it. And once you have realized that the monster isn't real, or isn't as real as big as somebody might be telling you it is, I just think it's hard to go back. Like, I think it's almost impossible to go back. Because if I push my kid off a diving board, and then I try to tell him that it's going to be bad to jump off the diving board, he's going to look at me like I'm stupid.
Right.
What do you mean? I just did it, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It's like we've talked about in the past, too, though. I'm a firm believer that, God has a sense of humor, and he does a lot of things very, very intentionally, and you figure it out as you experience life. God's intention was for you to experience life and to go out, and one of the things that we've talked about is he placed everything that is worthwhile and great just on the other side of that dark tunnel, just on the other side of fear. And that little girl was being 100% honest with herself. This is dangerous. Yep. I don't know what's on the other side of it. This is dangerous. And to her, she was 100% honest with herself. She just didn't know the truth. Mm-hmm. That is why that quote, that when he said that, I was just like, holy shit. And that's a great example that a lot of people can relate to. But take that and apply it to your life. How many things are you being honest with yourself right now? Like, this is dangerous. I don't need to do that. That's risky, whatever it may be. And you don't take the jump because you don't know the truth. Like, maybe you should find the truth.
Well, and I was going to say that maybe if you're going, I do want to go down the slide, but I'm not really sure. Well, then you need to talk to somebody that's been.
Yeah,
that's where the association part comes in. Like, you need to get around some people that've been there and done that, and they can give you an honest assessment. They may say, don't go down that one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, that goes back to calculated risk, like what we were talking about. We're not encouraging people to be freaking stupid.
Right.
Like, don't worry about getting scrapes and bumps and bruises and stuff like that. But one of the reasons that COVID never slowed me down one bit, and I travel a lot for work and stuff, is because I understand what the truth is and what the result of the sickness is.
Right.
Now, if somebody said, hey, HIV is airborne now, maybe not. Maybe I stay out the plane.
Yeah,
maybe I do wear a suit, and a hazmat suit everywhere I go now. I mean, now we're talking about something different. But, and that's where you do weigh your risk. I mean, anything, just like business, whatever's holding you back in business, like what's keeping you from moving forward and starting your own business or doing your own thing, is you continue to tell yourself, honestly, this lie that you don't even realize you're lying to yourself about, like, I can't do it, or I don't have the expertise to do it, or it's not going to work, or whatever it may be. When the truth is, if you put a game plan together, you get the finances right, you work your ass off, it will work. And if it doesn't, your next business venture will, because you learned what you needed to learn from the failed one.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I want to speak to that for like marriage too, because I think there's a lot of dudes out there that, like, it's normal to to stay single for a really long time. And some people, you're supposed to be single. That's great. No judgment there. I was single till I was 33. I didn't get married till late in life, relatively speaking. But I think there's a lot of guys and maybe girls too that are in relationships that are not committing. They've been dating for 150 years and, or they've been engaged for a decade and a half. Like, listen, man, you're either going to do it or you're not going to do it, in my opinion. And if you're fearful about that commitment because of past experiences or because of your parents, being bad examples or any other million different things you could think of, I just think you need to go talk to somebody that has a good marriage.
Absolutely.
Talk to somebody that's been down the slide, that's jumped off the diving board, that's done all those things, and just get some perspective on, it can be done right, and I can be committed to another person that I love. And same thing with being a parent, whether you are intending to be a parent or maybe you became a parent unintentionally. Well, I don't know if it's unintentionally. I mean, you were intentional about at least one action, so I mean, it's still intentional, but maybe it was a surprise to you that's how that worked out. And apparently you haven't done math before.
Right.
But 1 + 1 can equal another 1.
Right.
So,
or two,
or 3 or 4, that's multiplication. So my point of that is, like, it may be a scary time, and maybe you're a new dad speaking to the men. It's go talk to some other dads, like go get around some people that have been there and done that. I mean, that's ultimately what this whole thing is coming back to for me.
Yep. No, I agree. I think that's good stuff.
Well, I mean, even if you were, say, in your example, like you were in a marriage and you failed,
I was not.
No. I'm saying going back to your example of being married.
What?
No. Not you.
Have I been in a coma?
No. Not you, but I'm saying like going back to your example.
I'm not judging people that have. I'm just thinking I don't remember this.
No, I'm saying if you were married and you're in another serious relationship, wanting to take it to the next level, but fearful because of your first failed marriage or whatever, don't be hindered by that. Know what you did wrong and fix it in the new one.
Yeah, like Josh said about the business. Same thing.
Same thing. You can apply that in everything in life, and that's the beautiful thing about this. And I'm glad you brought this up because this is a really good episode. Hope you're listening.
Yeah, and I think that just people that tend to be very interesting, people that tend to have that gravitation about them that have really perfected, the art of attraction and stuff like that, are generally people that go out and live life. They're people that have experiences in life. So if you are a single dude right now and you are looking for Miss Right, then I would suggest you go live your life. You go out, you do things, you experience, life, you travel, you climb some mountains, you get involved in some stuff that scares the hell out of you. You get involved in some networking groups, do some speaking if it scares the hell out of you. Do something that scares you, because what that's going to do is it's going to grow you as a person, and you're going to become deeper and deeper and deeper, and the truth will start to be revealed to you through that. And that's something that was really big for me as a father, just from that quote when I looked at that, and I'm like, how much do I lie to myself unintentionally? Mm-hmm. As a father, how important is it for me to make my kids understand what the truth is? Just like we talked about with the slide. That's what we talked about before with the experiences. In a consumer mentality driven world, be the parents who lean to experiences rather than consumer purchases, right? How many more, toys need to stay in the plastic for 4 years and never get opened, and then you put them in the yard sale and stuff, And my kids still talk about trips over stuff they get. Yep. And the dirt bike purchases and stuff like that, that was with intentions of experiences, going out and doing stuff and everything. So anything else you guys want to add to that before we wrap this one up?
Sounds good.
A good deal, man. Well, so just I implore you, if you are listening to this right now, please just get out and live life a little bit. And as Cam was talking about, man, find an association. I know the main reason that we are building the Shepherds of Men program, the Men Reforged, is to do that, to create an environment where iron sharpens iron. Men can be around other men, to ask questions, to get involved, to stretch themselves and stuff, make calculated risks, get recommendations, or even just level center your expectations on where you're at right now. Like maybe you're riding really high and you think you're the shit, but nothing's happening. Well, maybe you're not the shit. Maybe you still got a lot of work to get to where you need to be at, but just understand that just because it's something that you believe right now doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. Sometimes you got to put that shit to the test. And that's going to require you to go out and take action. So stop living a sedentary life. Stop living in a bubble. Stop being afraid of everything that's out there. Not saying be reckless, but go out there, get some bumps and bruises, get some scrapes, get some experiences out there in life. Because ultimately it's going to pay dividends in the future. Guys, just want to real quick plug here at the end. The Men Reforged website is up with the Shepherds of Men by the time you're listening to this here. Unbelievable. Partnered with some unbelievable people at Genie Rocket and RP1 in Dallas, Texas to help us build that. Awesome platform, and even better program. As this program progresses, you're going to see the benefits and all this stuff, because some of these pain points that we look at that men struggle with, we're going to solve, and we're going to solve it through mastery. We're going to solve it through action. We're going to solve it through all the ethos that we've outlined and some of these secrets that we've defined within the Men Reforged program. So you guys go check that stuff out. You guys have been part of the movement.